All right, there he is, Marcel Louis-Jacques, baby, ESPN's own. And Welt and Rheaume, of course, proud sponsors. And a lot of you now have been calling, and those of you especially in East Fort Lauderdale. I know you suffered a lot of damage. Make sure you call Welt and Rheaume. Let them handle the insurance companies. How you feeling, my man? You're in your Uber? Is that what you're doing? You're going to the airport?
Yes, sir. Headed to the airport now. Yeah, I'm going to Dallas for the weekend. Actually, got a best friend's wedding luncheon, like a bachelorette joint luncheon, whatever they want to call it. I'm gonna go.
So
I'm
there's
going.
no separate bachelorette and bachelor party?
Not that I know of. No,
Oh, so this is one of those couples that don't trust each other.
I don't think it's that deep. I think it's
I,
a
I gotta
matter
say,
of a lot of people from over the country.
I gotta say that guy you're going. Is that your buddy?
I don't. I don't think it's actually a bachelor or bachelorette. I think it's just pre-wedding because it's at his parents' house, so it's not like
Does he
a
wear a skirt? Does he wear a skirt?
it's not like a party. Hey, it's 2023. If he wanted to wear a skirt,
Well, both
he
of
can
them
wear a
wear
skirt.
dresses when they get married.
Look, man,
I'm
I
just.
don't think it's a
I mean,
I don't think
listen.
it's a bachelor, but you're
I had
not gonna
two bachelor
disrespect my
parties.
boy like that.
I had two bachelor parties. I'm like LeBron. Not one, not two. I had two bachelor parties. Okay, on my own. I'm not going to allow my wife or my future wife to. Oh, honey, let's have them together. And then, no, get
Like I
out.
said, it's not a bachelor party as much as it just is like a time for like families to get together, like family and friends. There's one here. They're having another in Malibu, I think, but I can't do both. Not from Miami. So it's
That
not like
poor,
a bachelor party type
that
deal.
poor
It is
bastard.
our
That,
families are getting together.
that poor bastard. Damn it. I'm telling you, he's turning in his entire life and he's not parting one
Nah,
final
this is the
time.
wrong way.
This is just, well, this is the way if it's the Mandalorian, just so you'll know. Okay, not the wrong way. This is the way. You have
I
to
need to
tell.
catch up on the Mandalorian actually.
Yeah, I haven't seen the last episode yet of The Mandalorian. I was at a concert last night, so I couldn't watch it. So I have not seen the final episode of this season yet so far. Anyway, your thoughts yesterday on the Tua thing because I watched the press conference, and I got to tell you, the way he explains it, if people really listen, he never thought of any kind of retirement ever.
I
If you
think it's
really
one of
listen,
those
if you listen to his words, it's more like, oh yeah, no retirement. Yeah, I talked about it with my family, but like that never crossed his mind, dude. Never.
no, I think it's one of those like if somebody called Chris Greer, and asked, hey, we want to trade for Xavier Howard.
Laramie
Chris will say,
Tunsil. No,
okay.
Laramie Tunsil
He'll
is your
say,
example.
what do you Chris will say, what are you offering? And they'll probably come up with an offer that's not good enough, and he'll say no. Or
Well,
hey, we want to trade for Tyreek Hill.
first
Well,
he
what are you
said.
offering?
Well,
We'll
first
give
he
you a
said,
third
wait a
round
minute.
pick. No.
No, wait a minute. First, he's going to say, "Well, we're not looking to trade him," and then he'll say, "So, what are you offering him?" That's probably what he'll say first,
Yeah,
because
but
that's the
like
Laramie Tunsil.
it'll be a conversation, and ultimately he won't do it. But
Right.
technically, he considered a trade for Tyreek Hill. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
technically, they engaged in trade talk. Technically, yes, the idea of him retiring was brought up, but he didn't bite. He didn't go.
Right.
Now it's something that, like in hindsight, I was told in like not November, in December, January timeframe that he was considering retirement. I didn't feel strongly enough about it to go public with it. Obviously, I need to trust that source a little bit more, but I don't think it was anything serious to the point where the Dolphins had to convince him to stay or he had to be convinced to stay. I think that I think the idea was brought up. Hey, you should consider this. Hey, is this possibly the right move? They had a conversation about it. They weighed all the options, and he's coming back. But we've talked about this before. We've talked about this a lot. That when it comes to Tua and his health, his head injuries, concussions, there's a lot of pearl clutching. There's a lot of pearl grabbing. There's a lot of fake outrage. There's a lot of fake concern. 80% of the people who say they're worried about him, worried about his career, they're not worried about his career.
I know.
They're not worried about his career. They just want something to complain about.
I retweeted that when you wrote that article. I retweeted that, and I put that because it's a bunch of crap. All the people that are out there. Do you have that queued up? Can the answer from Oyefusi when Oyefusi asked him about you believe you have it, okay? Because I want people to hear this a second because Tua kind of catches himself to make sure that he doesn't really necessarily tell you he was thinking of retirement. It's kind of, oh yeah, no, the conversation was had, that kind of stuff. You got there, Sean, let's bring it up here. We're gonna play it for everybody for a second here, and you guys can check it out and listen, just in case you haven't heard it and you haven't watched it or listened to the entire cut.
Have that confidence to not really consider that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think I considered it. You know, for a time, having sat down with my family, having sat down with my wife, and having those kind of to with, I mean, with my son, I always dreamed of growing, playing as long as I could to where my son knew exactly what, he was watching his dad do. And
so basically you listen to him, he kind of catches himself there and tells you like, we had those conversations, but I could never quit. And that's because obviously they're going to come up, just like anything's going to come up. Then when something happens to you, like DeMar Hamlin, it's funny how the entire world's not screaming, DeMar Hamlin, don't come back from football. But man, we got a whole bunch of people coming. Oh, Tua don't come back from football. It's interesting how one dude is not the lightning bolt that the other dude is. Yet one dude faced death. One guy literally died on the field and had to be resurrected. The other guy was concussed, like hundreds and thousands of other players have been concussed.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a touchy subject. I don't want to be careful going through because he did literally die on the field. But
yes.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like I know in my circle of friends, all of us are, who are involved in the league. All of us are confused why DeMar Hamlin is coming back. I'm not going to go out and tweet Storm. He should retire. He should do this, do that. Like, look, man, you have a second lease on life. You do exactly what the hell you want to do with it.
Would you
personally? I would not.
Would you be a cop?
No.
No, right? Right? You would never be a cop, right? Because most of us would never be a cop. One, we'd be afraid to be a cop. Two, we probably wouldn't do it for the money. And three, we're probably not interested in a job that we're putting our lives on the line every single freaking day. And nobody tells cops to quit. It's hilarious, bro. It's hilarious.
I think it's pearl clutching, particularly like I only really see my mentions. I don't look at other people's mentions, but I see a lot of Bills fans that have an opinion about his health. And I will say again, I have seen Josh Allen get knocked unconscious on the football field before, and there was not this kind of backlash to it. There wasn't this kind of he should retire, he shouldn't play, they should hold him out. Matter of fact, everybody was holding their breath, waiting. Hey, will he be active this week? Will he play against the Titans? Will he do this? It wasn't this type of outrage. And again, he was knocked unconscious on the field. He wasn't hospitalized, but he was knocked unconscious. It's still not good for you. But it's just, if you don't genuinely care about the guy's health, hopping on the bandwagon to drag doctors' decisions and this that, it feels disingenuous to me because I know a lot of people don't actually care about the guy's health. It's just the hot topic. It's the hot button issue. Now, you and I came to an understanding a week or so ago, a couple shows ago. He doesn't have a concussion problem, but he is a concussion away from having a concussion problem.
Yeah.
He gets one more, then we're like, okay,
yeah.
Yes, that's it. I don't want to gamble with this guy's life, but ultimately he's 25, 26. He's a grown man. He's a grown man, a multimillionaire, a family who's capable of making his own decisions. If he's going to play football, were you going to go out into the football field and snatch him off?
Right. Right. Were you
This is
surprised?
life.
Were you surprised that they brought him out to talk?
No, not at all. He's the quarterback of the team. He hasn't spoken since December 25th. Not in like a football official capacity. They just started their offseason program, so I'm not surprised at all. I think it was appropriate. It was appropriate. I think he was prepared for basically every question that he got.
Right.
Obviously, I saw a couple fans upset about the line of questioning. Like, man, it's been 4 months since we talked to the starting quarterback. He's going to get some questions about. I'm surprised he didn't get more.
What did you ask? What did you guys ask? There was
I
nothing.
think people are tired of hearing about. I think people are tired of hearing about the concussions. But look, man, in our reality, it's something that's going to follow him. It's something that's going to follow him for at least a couple years. It is what it is.
Well, you know what?
Until you play or you do something to overshadow it.
If he goes this year without a concussion, it'll be water under the bridge.
I hope so.
It won't be brought up again unless it happens again. Like if it doesn't happen this year, I don't think it's brought up again until or unless it happens again. Because time heals all. People forget. People move on, bro. And a year from now is like a world of time. If we're sitting here at this point next year and there was no concussion and he played a whole season, the whole thinking is going to be different. It's like he's turned the corner, he figured it out, all this. And by the way, if he goes this year without a concussion and an injury, then be 2 years without regular injuries and then the year without the concussions. You know what I'm saying? So because nobody gives him any breaks for not being injured last year, because that's really what was his issue. His issue were injuries, not really head trauma. Last year was the freakish thing with the head trauma stuff.
His issues have been injuries, period. Like it has been a lack of availability that have been his issues. So he needs to go this year.
That's fair.
Fully available. You know what I mean? Like let's group it all into one. Let's not move goalpost. His issue is a lack, because that's what the concern is, right? The concern as brutal as it sounds, when players are injured, teams' concern when factoring that in is not, oh man, his knee hurts. Oh man, he's got a bad knee. Oh man, he's got a bad ankle. No, it is, oh man, he's got a bad ankle. He can't play for us. Oh man, if we pay him money, he will not hold up his end of the bargain. Like ultimately, it's about availability when we're talking about injuries and any concerns like that. So he's had an availability problem.
I just look at the concussions more freakish. The injuries, I don't, because you're constantly being hit in the NFL. So really, you're not like quarterbacks aren't necessarily all suffering concussions constantly, but they do end up with a shoulder, a finger, an elbow, a knee, an ankle, whatever. That happens like all the damn time with quarterbacks. So for me, that's been more his problem. I think now with all the stuff he's doing, and if he has the awareness. That's the other thing that I want him to, to pick up this year is the awareness. Like, yo, dude, the play's dead. Get rid of the ball. Live for the next play. Don't hang on to it for another second and a half, waiting for something to happen. And that, to me, if he does those things, he will eliminate the freakish part of his situation.
Yeah, I think again, he's 1 year. And when I say that this thing is going to follow him for a couple of years, I just mean like somebody somewhere, some outlet, some talking head is going to be bringing it up for the next couple of years. But as far as reasonable and legitimate concern goes, yeah, he's one healthy season away from this being water under the bridge. Yeah, one healthy season from us not talking about that anymore. There's always somebody. There's always somebody that's got to say, well, I'm still not sure. Well, I'm still not sold. I don't know anymore. He's still fragile. He's not. Like he's one season away from that being an unreasonable critique. So
now you saw him up close and personal. Did it look different up here?
I guess so. Like he had a hoodie on and wasn't really looking at him like that. But again, like I don't know, he's lower half. He's always been a pretty solidly built guy. He said that he's focused a lot on training his core, training his neck muscles, which there is like that is when I was playing football back in from '06 to 2010. During our warm-ups, our pre-practice, our pre-game warm-ups, that was part of the routine. Is
Right.
you'd partner up, somebody would stand to the side with your helmet against their knee, and you would stretch for a 10-second count. Other side, 10-second count. Somebody would push down on your helmet, you would push up. Like there is a way to strengthen your neck that I don't know if that's still part of that's still part of the deal. But that brought me back when he said, I've been doing neck strengthening movements. But I'm curious. So many people are, because it sounds goofy, it sounds funny. He's learning how to fall. Like I think a lot of people are writing it off, but like
No,
there's
that's a
always got to be a first person. Like what if it works and all of a sudden more quarterbacks are thinking, more players are thinking, oh hey, maybe jujitsu is a smart move. Like maybe this is a legitimate way to prevent injury.
players used to take ballet for
Like
balance.
everything
And,
is a
and by
everything's
the
a
way,
joke until it works.
Marcel, you're old enough. Haven't you run into a quarterback that doesn't know how to slide? And you're like,
All the time.
right. And you're like, well, dude, you don't know how to slide? Like, we all learn how to slide playing baseball when we're young. Like, really? You can't slide? Like, everybody knows how to slide. And then there are some guys that they're great quarterbacks and they can throw the ball and all that. And then you ask them how to slide and they almost blow their knees out. You know what I mean? So it's that's nothing new that you have
Trip
to
all over
learn something
themselves.
and learn a new technique for something. And now this is something that people have run into that maybe there were other shorter quarterbacks that could have used this technique and never thought about it. And this is something like you just said. This might be something that, he's the pioneer that starts with this. And then other smaller quarterbacks are going to kind of maybe learn because maybe they're a little goofy and they don't know how to fall. And guess what? That's not something that everybody knows how to do. I know how to do it because I took judo for many years. So I learned how to fall because there is a technique to it. So anybody that's taken judo or jujitsu, when they hear what Tua's doing, none of them are gonna laugh at it because they're gonna go, oh yeah, that's what you start to do when you first get into that. They teach you how to fall first and foremost because you're gonna fall a lot when you're fighting.
That's where a
So
lot of
you
your
got to learn
injuries. That's where a
exactly.
lot of injuries come from. Is like
Exactly.
you trying to like you not wanting to fall down, so you brace in some way, or you clench some muscle, or you twist a certain, and that's how you get hurt. So I think no, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah. So to me, that's not people have done all kinds of different things to help them. I mean, I never heard of a player getting into a hyperbaric chamber until Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas
I'm
was
just
the
saying,
first player to that I ever heard in my life that Zach Thomas bought a hyperbaric chamber and brought it home, and that he was using it. And I believe he's the guy that kind of started it in the NFL because I believe when he retired, he gave it to maybe Crowder. He might have given it to, and other players started using hyperbaric chambers after Zach was using it. You know what I mean? Anything to get an edge, anything to get better. And to me, I respect that from anybody,
that's
a
what like
salesperson, a
commit,
reporter,
commit to
whatever.
yourself, commit to your body, commit to your well being. Like I wanted to ask him about that. Like if he had heard about anybody else doing that or who recommended it to him. We didn't get a chance to ask him.
That
It
would have
was
been,
relatively short, like availability. But
yeah,
that is something I want to ask him before the end of the offseason. It's like, where did you get this idea from? Like,
that's
who
a good question.
suggested it? Have you heard of any other players doing that? I haven't heard of any other players
Nope.
doing any sort of martial arts in terms of learning how to fall properly. Some guys. Well, I know Brandon Marshall used to box. A lot of guys, like a lot of guys used to box.
Right,
And that helps you just, I guess, your agility, your hand-eye coordination, this and that. But
right.
you're not learning how to fall in boxing. If you fall in boxing, something went wrong.
Yeah, usually you're going to fall pretty hard when it comes to boxing. All right, what are you working on ESPN so folks can check you out before you go out to that week bachelor party that you're visiting?
I just filed it today, just about how the Dolphins draft strategy got to this point. Because if you remember, once upon a time, 2022, we'll say July. July. They had traded Devontae Parker. They had 2 first-round picks, 2 thirds, a second. They had ammo to move up if Tua didn't take the leap that he took, or they could infuse this roster, which was quickly becoming expensive, with a lot of talent on rookie deals. It was a specific plan. Ever since then, they've traded a first round pick. They traded a 3rd round pick. They've got 4 picks in back-to-back drafts. It's going to be the fewest in back-to-back drafts that I could find on Draft Reference. It'll be their first time going back-to-back drafts without a first rounder since 2003. Somebody asked Chris Greer, like, is this your Super Bowl window? He says, I don't see windows. I just see opportunity. So this is their Super Bowl opportunity. But that should be coming out, I think, either tomorrow or Saturday, one of the two.
And by the way, it's genius on his part, because if he says window, then everybody nails him shut right there. Oh, this is the Dolphins. Chris Greer said this is the Dolphins window, and that's it. And they would have used that against him the entire time. By the way, I do find it interesting that people are still questioning Chris Greer about how good he might be, and yet in the same sentence, then people are talking about the Dolphins being contenders. So you can't have it both ways. You can't question the general manager and then go say that the team might be a contender this year. Either you're doing a good job or you're not. I'm sorry.
It's one of the two.
Yes. But, I'm a Dolphins fan. We're never contenders. Ever for the last 20 years, Marcel. Okay? So if you're saying if you're saying the Dolphins are contenders for this division or the Super Bowl, then please don't follow it up by saying, whoa, Chris Greer is doing a questionable job. Like, what? Come on, man.
Exactly. But all right, man, I'm gonna head out.
Get out of here. Be safe.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. There you go. Marcel Louis-Jacques, baby. That's it. It's the mallet, right? Is that it? The mallet? Gavel. The gavel. There we go. The gavel has been brought down.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.